Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my friends from around the world. When you are listening in, please go and type in the chat where are you from? Okay, just type the different cities you're from, and it's good to see so many people from different cities. So, this is the SYP Now, which is a weekly live show, and this is focused on positive living, work life balance, living with passion, and success in life and business. Okay, so on this live show, you can ask any questions you like, and I'll give you straight answers, practical, no nonsense, and straight to the point. So, my purpose is to help busy entrepreneurs to be able to work less and more and to be able to become 10 times wealthier so that you can have your financial and time freedom to do things you really enjoy and to spend quality time with people that you love. Now, what is today's topic? Today's topic is, have you got a retirement plan? So before we talk about retirement plan, let's talk about retirement. What does retiring mean? I bet you, many of us enjoy what we do, but if you're given the option that if you've got all the resources in the world, so money aside, if you've got all the financial resources in the world, would you actually be working or would you actually wanting to be doing something else, chasing a passion? So, I know this lady who is actually a lawyer and she's a lawyer by day and she's a dancer at night. Actually, her passion is not into the law practice. Her passion is actually dancing. If she could, she would want to go and travel around the world and dance at the different stages, right? So that's her passion. Okay, so many of us are doing things, okay, because we out of necessity. Even we love what we do, but we're doing it out of necessity, meaning that we are going to do our job 9 to 5. We could be running our business again. Running a business could be 8 to 12 because we've got no choice. We've got to run a business to feed ourselves and our family. So my idea about early retirement means that you need not have to work for a living. That means that whatever you do it out of pure passion as an advocacy, and you're not doing it because you've got to feed yourself. Isn't that fun? Okay, if you are able to be working and enjoying life and doing what you really want and not having to worry about paying the bills, that would be excellent, isn't it? Okay, so today's topic is about retirement plan. So if I were to ask people, I've asked people very often, I ask them, how long do you want to retire? How long more do you want to work without having, I mean, to continue working? And when do you want to stop? When do you want to be able to stop working for a living? And what's the typical answer I get? You'd be surprised, no? In my mind, I thought 8 to 10 years, but most of the people that asked responded, and this could be very young people in their, late 20s, early 30s. They say in 3 to 5 years. So somehow, through the pandemic, people's vision of time has reduced, and people want to be retiring within 3 to 5 years. Okay. So when I ask them, okay, 3 to 5 years is fantastic. 3 to 5 years that you want to retire means that you do not need to work for a living. But then, do you have a retirement plan, or do you have a financial freedom plan? Because there's another word of asking about retirement plan, and the typical answer is, huh? What's a retirement plan? So, the reality is this: many people want to be able to retire early, but they do not have a solid and concrete plan on how to retire early, right? So that's then that there is a conflict, isn't it? You want to retire early, you got no plan, and then what happens? If you want to retire within 3 to 5 years, guess what? You're going to be working for the next 3 to 5 years. At the end of 5 years, you cannot stop working. Okay, so one of the things that when I was younger, what struck me is when I go around town and I see the elderly people. Okay, the elderly people who are still slogging out there in the streets, working very hard. Or if you go to Changi Airport, you find they hire the elderly people to help take care of the restrooms. Okay, so these are the people who should be when they are in their 60s, they should be in an age where they should be enjoying life. Okay, however, some people cannot afford to retire, cannot afford to stop working because they depend on that income for survival. So I believe that none of us want to be in there, right? Okay, so we need to have retirement planning. We need to be able to have a financial plan on how to retire early. And okay, so let me share with you some slides, right? Okay, so this is what I call a financial freedom planning slide. So this is what I've done for myself, and this is what I've helped a lot of people use in order for them to achieve some form of financial freedom. Okay, so I'm going to use a very conservative aspect. I'm going to say 10 years. So if I were to ask you, is it okay to plan that you're financially free, that you're able to retire in 10 years? And I think most people will say 10 years, that's fair enough. Okay, so assuming you're aged at 40, so 10 years will take you to the age of 50. Okay, so far so good, 40 to 50. Right. Then the next thing is, what's your age expectancy? Well, the financial planners will tell you that the current life expectancy for a male is 74 years old, and for a female is 76, right? So being able to live to 80 years old is actually good, because that's living beyond the expected lifespan of an adult, okay, in the current situation, right? So now the next question is, okay, so how much do you need to survive, a year? Okay. And I've used a very conservative figure. I say for a couple, for two persons, I'm just using $5,000. It could be 5,000 Malaysian dollars, 5,000 Singapore dollars, 5,000 US dollars. I'm just using Aussie dollar because I live in Australia. The 5,000 is a very conservative number. So the 5,000 will allow me to pay my bills. I'm not worried about my food, my petrol, my heating. So 5,000 is, I would say, reasonably comfortable. It may even allow me to go for a short, not by flight, but maybe drive somewhere for a short weekend holiday, right? So 5,000 a month. So 5,000 times 12 months, that's what? Okay, that's about 60,000, right? So I'll need 60,000 to be able to survive per year. And I put in here, some rupees and some Philippine peso equivalent, so that for those of us from other parts of the world, when you look at this, you don't have to do your own conversion. The conversion is there, right? So 60,000. So every year we need 60,000 to live on. Okay, right. So by the end of 80 years, okay, we need 60,000. So how much do we need? So we need 30 years times 60,000, we need $1.8 million, right? So let's use Aussie dollars. So I need $1.8 million saving by the time I turn 50, right? Because for the next 30 years, I intend to be financially free. I intend to be retired. I do not have to work for my living, right? Right. So you can see the target there at the end of 50 years. I mean, at age 50, that means 10 years from the start point, I would have $1.8 million saved. Okay. So if I were to ask, people, $1.8 million, is that a lot of money? Okay. Is that easy to save? And a typical answer I get is, for a typical person, 1.8 million is not easy. Right? Most people cannot imagine themselves having a savings of 1.8 million. If you talk about, their property, their net worth, it could be 1.8 million, but if we tied up with, uh, for most people is tied up with their house, okay, right? But in terms of having $1.8 million cash, very rare to meet somebody who says that I have got that, okay, or they've achieved, unless somebody who have started their financial freedom planning from many years ago, right? So how are you going to accumulate the 1.8 million? Simple. Every year for the 10 years, for the next 10 years, you save 180,000. Okay. So year one, year two, year three, year four, year five, and so on. Okay. So every year you save $180,000. So far, so good. Okay. If you've got any questions, just type into the chat and I'll respond to that. Right. Can you live on sunshine and fresh air? And the obvious answer is no, you can't. Okay. Right. You can't. Right. So basically, every year you still need 60,000 to live on. So okay, meaning your net income after tax is 240,000. Okay. That's the amount you need to be earning, right? And then assuming you're going to pay tax, and I use a very simple percentage of 25%. So assuming your tax bracket is 25%, and 25% is quite conservative, okay, right? Because I just met somebody from the UK when I did the exercise with him. He says 25%. No, my tax is 50%. That means this person here has got to have 160,000 put aside for tax. Anyway, for this model, at 25% is 80,000 tax. Okay, right. So it means that the gross income before tax has got to be 320,000 per annum. So if you're listening to this and you're an employee, so it means that for you to retire in 10 years time, you need to be having a salary of 320,000 per annum. Now, how many people actually get this type of salary at 320,000 per annum? Not many, isn't it? Okay, right. So what you got to do is you got to start and think alternative. How can you build additional source of income? And for a business owner out there, okay, that means your gross income from your business has got to be 320,000. So how many businesses out there earn 320,000 per annum before tax? Well, there'll be quite a few, but quite a few of us, who are solopreneurs or small to medium sized, business owners. Many people don't do 330,000 gross income per annum. Okay, right. So this is actually quite a major wake up call, isn't it? Right, right. Especially for those people who want to retire 3 to 5 years. You realize 3 to 5 years, these numbers are going to be at least 2.5 times, 2.5 times higher because you're only giving yourself a shorter period of time to get that 1.8 million. So if you got any questions, feel free to put it into the chat. Okay. So when I did this exercise myself, it was at least 10 years ago when I did this exercise. It was really also a wake up call for me. And publicly, okay, I want to acknowledge Jeff Miles. Jeff Miles is my business doctor. He's called a business doctor and he's my business coach. So I've been, having him as my consultant for quite a long while now. And he was the one that in my early days, when he was coaching me, he was sharing this graph. He didn't call it the financial freedom planning graph. He called it the depression graph, okay? Because most people, who have not set upon a journey to plan for their retirement or their financial freedom, when they look at these numbers, it's kind of depressing. Okay, right. So I'm going to stop sharing now and just going to look at any questions that you may have. Right. Okay, are there any questions out there? Okay. So how are you feeling? Looking at this, any of you feeling a bit perturbed or disturbed, and you feel that even if you're watching this recording, you can later put in the comments. What do you feel about the figures that you're seeing? Yeah. Having to earn 320,000 a year just to be able to retire in 10 years. Kind of depressing, isn't it? Yep. For a lot of people, these are very, very challenging numbers. So what I invite you to do, okay, what I invite you to do, I'm going to just get this link. Oops, I got kicked out a bit. Okay, just give me a second while I get the link for you. Okay. So I'm going to post it in the comment there. Okay. Okay, so put into the comment there, So asking you to join me at a workshop, okay, on this Friday, 8 p.m. Singapore, Hong Kong, Manila time. Come and join me. The link is in the comments there. And I'm going to show you a few concrete plans on how you could build up your financial reserves so that you are able to retire early. And for those of you who just joined us, okay, my definition of retirement means that you got to stop working for a living and you are able to chase your passions, do the things that you do because you love it, not because you've got to do it. Okay, right. So for those of us who just joined in, I see a few people, new people joining in. I'll just quickly, jump over to the PowerPoint that I just shared. Let me just quickly go to that. Yep. Yep, I just shared with people this financial freedom planning. So what I'm basically telling people is that most people want to retire between 3 to 5 years, but they do not have any planning. So what I'm saying is that if you are the age of 40, let's say you're on a plan, to retire in 10 years, they'll bring you to 50 years old. And then every year you need $5,000 a month to survive. So for 12 months, 60,000. So for 30 years, you need 1.8 million, meaning that you need to have 1.8 million saved, okay, at the end of 10 years if you want to have a dream of retiring early, or enjoy life at the age of 50 in this example. So if you do a reverse calculation, you need to have $180,000 savings after tax, and then you still need 60,000 every year to live on. I'm just assuming that your interest and your inflation would cancel each other off to make the calculation simple. So therefore, your net income after tax has got to be 240,000, and then you got to put aside, for the tax department another 25%. So assuming that your tax bracket is 25%, so altogether it's 320,000. That's the amount, okay, you need to be earning every year if you want to retire in 10 years to have the $1.8 million, right? And for most people, this is quite a challenge, right? So, I've always asked people, when is the best time to plant a durian tree? So the answer is 7 years ago, because if you planted your durian tree 7 years ago, you get your fruits today. However, if you didn't plant a durian tree 7 years ago, when's the next best time? Today. Because if you plant it today, 7 years from now, you're going to have durians to eat. But if you don't plant it today, 7 years later, you won't have your durians, right? You'll still be struggling, right? So the idea behind this is that if you want to retire, you need to set yourself a financial freedom plan or retirement plan to actually know what you need to do, every month, every year towards your financial freedom. And what I did is I invite people. Okay, so what I've done is that in your comment box, I've put in. Okay, so I put in a comment the links to a workshop that I'll be conducting. Okay, I'll be conducting on Friday 8 p.m. You can come and join me. This is a free workshop for 90 minutes. I'm going to show you, how to what I call the income mastery, how to earn additional income, and then I'll teach you asset mastery, and I'll show you how you can make your money that you earn work harder for you towards achieving your time and financial freedom. Okay, right. So today's, Ask YP Now show is going to be a relatively short show because, looking at these numbers, quite a few people say, oh, give me the details, give me the details, give me the solution. And I won't be giving you the solution today because it takes a bit of explanation, but I'll give you a full 90 minutes. I'll give you a full 90 minutes on Friday, 8 p.m., Malaysian, Singapore, Hong Kong time. And there I'll go into detail on how you could, how you could, what do you call that, work 20 hours less, okay, so they can enjoy your life more, and then to be able to become 10 times wealthier in 5 years or less without any extra stress or pain. Okay, yeah, so this is what I'm going to deliver to you next Friday. And with this, I wish everybody a great evening. Go enjoy your dinner, and I'll see you on Friday. Okay, see you. Bye bye.